Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks for Those and Blaster. Today I've got another very different tank for you. This is the Bobject 263. I spoke a tiny bit about it in the last game with the STA2. I think the only thing we covered is the turning speed is awful on this thing. But nevertheless, this is an incredible tank. Really big gun and loads of frontal armour. The turning speed is, it's not brilliant, but I have managed to increase it with cruise skills on my tank. As you can see there, it's not exactly a slouch, and it's got very good engine power, so it can get moving. The side and rear armour is also pretty useless. You can ricochet shots by side scraping, but that's about it. The rear armour just takes everything. One thing to note though is that if you're fighting people spamming heat as premium ammo, you can actually make use of the rear armour a little, as that massive digger attachment does count as spaced armour, which heat ammo doesn't go through. Another thing to note is if you get shot in the side, your ammo racks line all the way along the side of the fighting compartment, so it's very likely you'll be ammo racked by that. If you're coming against this thing, aim for the sides with high explosive, and the rear armour as well, as long as you're not firing heat. As the front goes, you might have a few issues there. The lower glacis is the only weak spot. There is a tiny little rangefinder on the right side of the fighting compartment, but it is tiny and you're going to find it incredibly difficult to hit that. As this IS-3A is about to find out. Yeah, he wasn't expecting me there. That's a bounce. That's a miss, and I'm back into cover. IS-3A is a really powerful tank, especially with that auto reloader, but I'm not convinced that there's nobody behind there, and sure enough, E75, which put a shot smack into his lower glacis as well. So far, nobody's got a shot back into me, but you can just see I'm trying to turn around to get on the flank, and, well, it helps if an IS-3 knocks you to turn quicker, but yeah, you need to be careful about getting outflanked in this tank. Another solid hit. Emil is not looking too healthy, so I decide to move forward, use my armour to cover him a little bit whilst he's reloading his magazine. Now the gun, kind of a long reload time for this gun. Really, T29? Okay. But it does 550 average damage and does 200 and I think it's about 270 penetration. I don't know the specific value actually. I may look it up for the end of the video. But yeah, 214 health. That one went straight through and killed the T29. Now, remember what I said about being outflanked? That's an EBR over there up on top of the hill. He's got up there without taking a hit because those things are super quick. Is he the only one up there though? I'm just aiming up for a shot. There is a slight gap through that ship, but I don't notice it in time. But yeah, there's also a leopard up there. Leopard's a very powerful tank, and he sees me and still pulls out sideways on. No, I don't know. Now I should explain, this battle was a bit of a disappointment actually. As you can see, I've already done quite a lot of damage, but unfortunately, as I just pull back, that guy just doesn't have a shot at my lower glacis there. He didn't have a chance, but yeah, I do end up dying in this game. I make a big mistake at the end, and you'll see that later. But yeah, for now, I think the game's going pretty well, and just seen that Tortoise. Now, most people say that the Tortoise is the best tier 9 tank destroyer, and the second best is the T95. Personally, I really don't like the look of the T95. I've never actually played it, but I'm not sure I would enjoy it. Solid hit into the weak spot on top of the Tortoise, and if you do come across a Tortoise, always aim for that little cupola thing with the double machine gun. I do knock the ST1 a bit there, which yeah, I probably shouldn't have done, but he bounces the shot from the T34 fake tank who hit me with high explosive earlier. KV3 denies me my shot on the tortoise, but takes a smack himself, and there are a lot of tanks over there, as you can see, which have been tracked. Got to reload. No idea where that shot went. Thing with the tortoise as well is, I think the tortoise is a good tank, but that little cupola where everybody fires is actually where the loader sits, and well, the reload time is the best part about this tortoise, so yeah, bit of weakness. Sideways on again, yeah, dunno. And this is my big mistake. I've just been tracked and my repair kit's been used. Yeah, that was a lot of damage. You can see the E-75 is trying to get around to hit me there, but I have better mobility than him. Overmatch his rear hull armour. My gun is high enough caliber that I cannot ricochet off his rear. And then that UDES appears, which is really bad news for that Tiger P. Now I'm a one-shot kill, so I'm being careful. Yeah, I mess up that shot as well, and that's going to cost me dearly. ST1, can he put a shot on T75? He can. Oh, it leaves him on 12 health. Well, that means I've got to waste another shot on this guy. Luckily I managed to take him out, but then T34 and an EBR, it gets a shot into my side. And I notice I'm not going to be able to turn around in time here, so I try angling my rear and side, but he aims that one in well. And that's me pretty much ended. So, I do manage to do 5,721 damage and 4,600 damage blocked by armour. So it's a pretty good game, but yeah, ended up dying. I believe this game was actually a victory, but as you can see, turning my side to all those tank destroyers is a really bad idea. So make sure that if you're in this tank, you can either side scrape and keep the lower glacis covered, or just at least keep your frontal armour towards the enemy. So, Centurion Action 10. This is, well, again, a very different tank to the one we... now I'm going to show you two games today, just because I had this one and I was sort of umming and ahhing about whether to put it in, but actually I think it was a pretty good result, and it shows off the advantages of this tank as well. So what you need to know about Centurions, usually they've got good turret armour. I say usually because the amount of Russian mediums that spam gold at you, yeah, they can penetrate the flat front of this tank. All the other Centurions have got gun mantlets, which just protect them really well, but this thing does not. It's obviously got the Action 10 turret, which you also see on the Carnarvon, FV4202, or Carnarvon Action 10, I should say. The standard Carnarvon has a Centurion turret. But yeah, so for starters, Gorilla 15 over there. Take a shot which, yeah, pretty sure it missed, and yeah, that EBR knew I was there, so I pulled back again. I was lucky that that shot went into my tracks. The hull armour of this thing is awful. Don't expect to bounce any shots off the hull. The turret is where it counts, and the gun depression is also good, and actually the gun's pretty good as well, so ridgelines is probably where you want to put this vehicle. This sort of position is actually pretty much exactly where you want to be. Unfortunately, I'm getting kind of unlucky on my shots here, and yeah, there are 3 artillery in this game, so that was only a matter of time. GW100s, yeah, very big guns, and yeah. So I moved to a different sort of area to pull back and forth, and yeah, that ST1 just took 2 hits from artillery, one after the other, and the second one actually stunned me as well, which is probably why that shot missed. The C50 is, he's being very bold for the position that he's in. E50's got a pretty decent gun and some good armour, but it's not that good. And this is an L7 gun, which has 268mm of penetration and does 390 average damage per shot. It is a 105mm gun. Also, I did some research and I was correct about the Object 263's penetration. It is exactly 270. Object 263's gun is, yeah, it's really good. It's a tier 9 tank destroyer gun, so it's kind of has to be. In retrospect, I probably should have loaded high explosive for firing at that Guerrilla 15's rear, but, well, APCR does the same job. This thing is a tier 10 medium, so it fires APCR as standard, so good shell velocity, all that sort of stuff. Now then, there's a T-57 heavy platoon here. Lucky not to take that hit, but managed to kill him. I do take the second hit from T-57. Those things do have really good guns as well, and I think that guy managed to hit the flat front of my turret where the gun mantlet's missing. Weak spot on the T-57 is the kind of turret cheek thing. Obviously it's got an oscillating turret. So if you imagine the actual part of the turret which rotates, as opposed to the part which goes up and down, the cheeks of the turning part are actually quite weak, especially for a tier 10 heavy. And if on other oscillating turret tanks as well, if you just aim for the turret cheeks, you can usually pen quite easily. Yeah, it's the same with the T69 and the T54E1 especially. T124 over there, STB1, ooh, yeah, he's dead. But I managed to hit the lower glacis of the T124, and he's just fired, so he's going to be reloading for a while. He knows I'm here, so I'm going to move the other side of the opening there, and oh, he's just fired again. Oh, rock's in the way. The Death Star managed to get a massive hit into him. I mean, I suppose there's no such thing as a Death Star hit that isn't massive, but yeah, finish him off hitting his side hull. AMX-50B's not looking too good, but me and him managed to combine our guns to knock out the Progetto, and I'm currently on 5 kills, which is a bit of a surprise here, but yeah, I've just mainly from this game been using turret armour and gun depression to my advantage. In this sort of situation, however, hit the MX-30, I'm looking for that 6th kill to get the top gun, but gun depression isn't really going to help me much here. This is all very flat ground. Yeah, I think that FV is going to hit me if I pull out to shoot the Jaegeru. I decided to pull back, and this is how you use your hull armour to your advantage in this tank. So I'm actually reverse side scraping here. So the turret's mounted at the front, so I can keep the rear armour sort of into the rock and just angle the side armour. As it turns out, the FV's fallen back, and so's the AMX. Looking for the shot on the Jaegeru as the EBR goes flipping, but he gets killed by someone else. And I take out the AMX-30 for my 6th kill and my top gun. 3,172 damage, 1,580 damage block my armour, and I also get 655 assistance damage, which is just a bit of a bonus to XP. But yeah, also a pretty good game. It shows off the strengths of a Centurion, and I personally love Centurion tanks, whether it be the Centurion 1, Centurion 7 or the Action 10, and in fact I do also have the Primo Victoria and the Centurion 5, so I'm sort of starting a collection there. But they are good tanks and I thoroughly recommend them. But thanks for watching.